Whenever you hear the word witch brought up in conversation, what kind of images pop up into your head? I know that for me, before I listened to the Entitled Opinions episode on magic, God, and the supernatural featuring Tanya Lerman, I thought of witches just like these, the classic depiction of the Wicked Witch of the West. Or maybe even I thought of the witches from Hocus Pocus. Witches like these that are portrayed in the most stereotypical sense. But they don't, however, portray how witches in modern society are really living in their true day-to-day lives, which is exactly what Tanya Lerman goes into on her podcast. Tanya Lerman studies anthropology and psychology, and she has written 2 books that talk about themes of religion and, like I said, supernatural, God, and even witchcraft, especially that is practiced in modern England. So, this is kind of what we think of when we think of witches in England, right? Things of the past, tales, and, even witches being burned, things like the Salem witch trials. We honestly don't have a lot of positive connotations with witches in the modern world. We often think of past images. So the first book that she wrote is called The Persuasion of Witches. So this is a book that she wrote about the ways in which we are not rational and the people find evidence for the existence of things that we cannot see. And in England, a lot of these witches use these kind of thought processes to describe the natural world. So current witches, they practice supernatural forces and they use their minds to manipulate outcomes of spells. So it's more of she took an agnostic approach to finding out why people believe in what they believe and why they do what they do and why this concept of magic works. So these people she observed people practicing magic in their day-to-day life, more like manifestations and using spells. And it transforms the user experience, not necessarily the world around us, because if we can't see it for our own eyes, but these people do see change in their lives. And this goes back to positive thinking. So the feeling of God or magic in this case is not actually a true experience technically. It's an experience that happens in our mind. And other people might not see it, but the people who practice magic and even religion do feel these effects. So the other book she wrote was When God Speaks Back. And this is about the American evangelical relationship with God. So this is another way of practicing these same kind of things where you use a religion or a God. So in the evangelicalism, having a nice, forgiving God, and in their culture have had better positive outcomes. So where these faiths have a more positive, loving relationship with God and that He's forgiving, they see better life outcomes, and so do their societies in which they practice. And they have described close, intimate relationships with God. And when they do report these close relationships with God, they do report being happier. So the same thing kind of goes with magic and positive thoughts. It's positive words and it increases your positive thoughts. It's pretty simple. The same thing happens with prayer. So it helps to replace the bad with good. And this kind of strays away from more critical thinking, but instead it is helpful thinking, which in situations where you're feeling down, this is helpful sometimes over critical thinking. So this is positive psychology. So if we replace critical with hopeful, you see a positive change in your life. And if you replace bad with good, you see a positive change in your life. Although other people around you might not feel this, you are feeling this, and it's an experience in your mind that is still a valid thing happening. And you will feel happier overall. Both witches and people who she studied who were evangelical Christians did report feeling happier. Their societies have better outcomes. And although there's negative stereotype of modern witches, it really is the same concept overall. Feeling positive and feeling happy. So is magic real? I don't know. Maybe we can't see the effects of it, but in the same sense, is religion real? I don't know. But we do know that whenever people are practicing any of these traditions, they do feel a more positive, happy life with better outcomes.